Obviously, we'll start with the quarterback position on the depth chart. What we're going to do is we're going to play both gunner-cruz and will-plummer. And we expect both of them to get reps, both of them to play in the game, both of them be prepared to lead drives. And we're going to go with the approach that right now 2 is better than 1. And that is going to be our mentality until further notice there. As we went back and watched, all of the film, all of the statistics, all of the information, it was clear that it would be hard to tell the other person why they were not the starter, more than anything else. And that is why we made that decision. The rest of the depth chart looked about how Jason had it today. So right now we're in a good spot. And looks like you guys have been at all the practices, so there are no real secrets in regards to who's running with the 1s, who's running with the 2s, and that's kind of how it has remained. And we have a competition, I would say, between Booby Curry and Tavion Cunningham and Jalen Johnson on who's going to be that one of the starting receivers. But other than that, feel pretty good about the guys, and going to work through the defensive line as well once we get everybody back. So I'll take any questions.
So which quarterback will go first?
What's that?
Which quarterback will go first?
Gunner will go first. Gunner will be out there first, and then we'll take it from there. But we'll decide either by drive, probably. But that's not to say we can't make a substitute within the drive. But right now our plan would be, and not to say it's going to be alternating drives. It's just right now we don't believe that there is one that I could tell is not going to play.
What are the pros and cons of a setup like that?
Well, I think more than anything, I've tried to avoid the thought process regarding the pros and the cons, and I wanted to put the people first. And in my mind, to stand there and look at Will and say, I've gone with Gunner, and when Will says why, and I would say, because I've gone with Gunner, wasn't a good answer. And if I told Gunner the same thing, I've gone with Will, and he said why, the same answer. Neither one of them deserves not to be the starter. They both have found ways to move the football. They both have not turned the ball over in team settings. They one has thrown 13 touchdowns, one has thrown 11 touchdowns in team live periods. Their completion percentage, one was 64%, one was 63%. The team seemed to rally behind both of them. They both seem to be getting better. Now, I don't believe that will remain all year long. I don't believe we'll be in a 2-quarterback system for the year. I would be surprised. But what I believe currently, that the right thing to do for all people involved was to tell them both they'll be prepared to play. I think the other issue is, Michael, that if you name one person the starter and things don't go well, you're very quick to go to the next person, and now you've benched the starter. And I don't think that's the right thing to do with our situation. So we're looking at it in terms of the overall psyche of the team, the psyche of the quarterback. We have 2 young players that each have 4 years left of eligibility, and we don't want to put them in position until we know who's the right guy.
Was this something you thought was possible at the beginning of camp, or was this a new development?
Yeah, I was probably not planning on this initially. I was thinking that there would be kind of a separation that would occur, call it like Separation Saturday if you're looking at a golf tournament, and see who on that 3rd round makes the difference. But really, as the game proceeded, there really was nobody that said, they both got better. They both improved. They both played smarter. They both had a better understanding of the game. And when they had their opportunities to play with the 1s, I think all of the people that were at the practice would say the guy had their best day when they were with the 1s. Will had his best day the day he had the 1s the whole day. Gunner had his best day the day he had the 1s all day. And for that, we had to evolve to this decision.
How far behind is Jordan McLeod? Is he going to have an opportunity this year?
Jordan, we talked with Jordan as well yesterday. We brought him in privately as well. And just he too had this, had the same opinion as we did, that if he was here in the spring, there might have been a little different situation because of all of his experiences. But the fact that he missed all of his spring and some of the summer was really just a challenge to get fully caught up to speed. But I also believe that that is not to say that as the year progresses, that Jordan is not a viable option if need be. Jordan has 2 years to play. Jordan will continue to develop. And I'm hopeful that as he continues to gain experience in our system, he too will be able to compete. Gunner was big arm, deep balls down the field. Didn't necessarily always want to just take a profit. And where I've seen the biggest development after talking to Coach Doherty is that he's become much more willing to find completions, not down the field all the time. Whereas Will was the opposite. Will was more early on, always looking for the completion when maybe sometimes you had to stay in that pocket and throw the ball downfield. Where he gained or he strived in terms of throwing the ball down the field better than he did early in camp. Gunner found a way to complete the ball more underneath better than he did in camp.
You had said earlier that you didn't want the quarterbacks to be looking over their shoulder all the time. Are you concerned with this type of setup that might happen?
Yeah, I actually felt the other way. I felt like if they both know they're playing, then they both can play freely. But if one guy thinks that they're playing, but they know it was a super close competition, that they feel that there could be a quick hook. And I did not want them to play with a quick hook. I felt like it was a much better for their mental psyche to say, hey, we're both going in, we're both doing this together, we live together, we are roommates, let's make both of us better and see what happens, than this mentality of, hey man, it's you, but I'm right there if you mess it up.
It sounds like you have put a lot of thought into this, and there's a lot of good reasoning behind it. What do you say to the critic out there who's going to say, oh, if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have 0? You've heard
Yeah.
that line before.
I have, I would say, well, we have 2 quarterbacks and we're playing both. And we don't really have the ability to say that we don't have 2. We don't have just one. And I think I don't really want to just make a decision to appease the critic as much as I would prefer to just say, the right thing to do for the 117 kids in our building is to say these 2 guys earn the right to play. And there'll be a time, as always in life, there's always a separation. And there'll be a time where you could see where the team rallies, what goes on in the game. I mean, obviously, depending on how the game goes, we can make all adjustments necessary. And if one comes out and plays a really good game and the other one struggles, then that kind of has answered the question for us. But I would say if both guys continue to play well and both guys continue to improve, it's not the right thing to do not to reward 2 18 and 19-year-old kids for the work that they've put in.